And for my final video of the day, your wonderful Sunday weekend, King World News had a guy on that I've not too long ago did a video on myself. Good track record, looking at stuff, calling some things, Egon von Greyerz is his name. And he was on the King World News show. I'm going to link this website in the description box of my video. It's a 13 or so minute audio conversation between the two, King World News and Egon. And what he says is pretty interesting. This is kind of a summary, a little bit of a summary, based off of King World News website, but I urge you to go listen to the full audio if you want to hear everything, and I think you should. He says, things are finally beginning to implode. The title of this was from Mr. Egon von Greyerz. The greatest bubble in history is beginning to implode. Now, if you just joined the subscriber base of JSNIP4 this year, you probably would already determined, if you kept listening to me even once a week since January, you probably could have come to the same conclusion that the greatest bubbles, plural, are beginning to implode. And I'm glad I could be the one to bring you up to speed if you were not already. So anyway, that's the title. The greatest bubble in history is beginning to implode, according to him. With continued uncertainty around the globe, today the man who has become legendary for his predictions in QE, historic moves in currencies, told King World News that the greatest bubble in history is beginning to implode. Things are finally beginning to implode, he says. So the Fed decision is finally out, he says. The rate increase was a certainty, but the problem is that no one believes the Fed, not even the Fed itself. In volatile markets, is wealth preservation king? Well, maybe we should ask King World News. Just kidding. I had to throw that little pun in there. In a King World News interview, I spoke with the man who predicted the Swiss National Bank would experience staggering losses and that the Fed would also experience massive losses that would destabilize the global financial system. His company is the only one in the world offering a precious metals investment service outside of the banking system. With direct ownership and full control by the investor, he has also become legendary for his predictions on QE, historic moves in currencies, and major global events. Again, on the website, it'll take you to him if you need to see him. And I kind of gave the same intro when I did my own video on Egon because it was true. I said he's got his own company. Matter of fact, he's got 2 or 3 different companies, but it's a precious metal storage facility outside of the system. He's not for the club at all. When you read his little bio and the thing about his website and what we do and this and that, he is not a fan of the club. So that's the kind of thing, if someone wants their precious metal stored off-site, out of your house, out of your hands, which I would never do myself, but again, there's rich people out there that have so much, they would never keep it in their house because it's too much. So they have to put it somewhere they can trust. That's the kind of guy in his company that they would go to. Or should I say, should go to. It is obvious that there can be zero confidence in the Fed because they haven't got a clue. All the Fed is doing is reacting to events, but they are like a big dinosaur. If they are bitten in the tail, it takes ages before it reaches the brain. Therefore, they are always behind the curve. And how can you have confidence in the Fed when the chairman says that the data is noisy? Remember when Yellen said that? The data is noisy. This means that they don't understand their own data, and even less so what to do about it. The Fed is destroying the world. All this makes it even more surprising why the world focuses on every Fed decision as if it was determining the fate of the world. I can categorically state that what the Fed says has virtually zero influence on the world economy. But what they do is to destroy the U.S. and the world with massive debt creation and money printing since 1913. This has now created history's biggest bubble, and this bubble is now starting to implode. I would advise investors to get out of all the bubble assets, stocks, bonds, and property, and protect themselves while there is still time with physical gold and silver. So let's think about that for a second. One thing he said at the end that you haven't really heard anyone else saying, including myself. Well, I mean, let me back up. I did say to get out of your house now. If you're thinking about selling it, get the hell out now, go rent, and then go buy. However, I never really focused on somebody that owns multiple properties, even if you own them free and clear. Now, if you own them free and clear, you're probably okay. But if you're making any kind of mortgage payment on additional properties that you rent out or whatever, it's not going to be pretty for you. But what he just said, get out of the bubble assets. Okay, easy. In the next sentence, get out of stocks. Well, they kind of go hand in hand. That is the bubble asset, which also includes real estate. Bonds, again, paper. So stocks, bonds, get out of them. Clear, obvious. But then he says it, and property. So he makes it clear, and property. Property as in real estate. He's saying get out of that too. So I would say, in seeing all this, how this is all going right now, and this might be a video, if Frank, my buddy Frank I work with, if his papa is listening, because he does listen to the Jason at 4 show every morning from what I understand, but I don't know if he listens to all 3 of my videos or just the first one. If he happens to hear this, this might be for him. If you own, anybody that is, owns property, multiple, I got 3 or 4 houses, I paid them off long ago, they're good rental properties, I got good people and they're renting. I think one of my kids is spending the night just knocking on the door. Hang on. All right, so back where I was. Sure enough, that's what's nice about living in a very small neighborhood. And your kids are spending the night 2, 3 houses down. They forget something, then come back, knock on the door, because I had the front door locked, Not that's real late, but knock at the door, come in, get your stuff, go back out. Don't have to worry. 2 houses down, one way in the community, one way out. You know what I mean? It's nice. So back on subject, or back on topic. If we're expecting real estate bust, and we absolutely are, regardless of interest rates, and they so happen to be going up, okay, it's more pressure on housing. So if you happen to own your house or multiple houses, property that you use for rental, you're in the top of the market right now. The prices of houses are still high right now. If you get out of all of them and have a bunch of cash sitting on hand because you sold them all, you can now wait for the crash to happen. And when you see the fire sale prices that you will be able to get a house for, you're going to realize, I had 3 or 4, whatever, 5 houses, or whatever the hell you had, 1 extra, 2 extra houses, whatever you had. Oh my God, I could go buy a whole bunch more because the prices got slaughtered. And when I say buy a whole bunch more, cash money paid off, no mortgage, no nonsense. So you had 3 or 4 tenants, now you've got 6, 7, 8 of them. And of course, it's critical to find the right tenants because you get someone in there who destroys your house, and that's a lot of people's story, that they just keep renting and get destroyed, and they rent, and they get destroyed, they rent and get destroyed. But you might also say, well, I'm not going to buy the lower end houses, I'm going to buy higher end houses that fetch more rent than normally, like my old houses that I used to have before I listened to Jason at 4 and sold them all. And maybe when you go back in to buy, even at fire sale prices, you buy what used to be expensive houses. You had 3 or 4 houses, you bought 3 or 4 more again, but you paid a big chunk of it. Basically, the money you got back, you put right back into them, except you got a lot more house for your money because of the crash. And if you have an expensive house, or 3 or 4 of them, chances are you're going to have a better tenant living in there than what you might get in the lower end houses. Come in, can't pay the rent, evict them, destroyed my house, all that crap. So it might be a really, really, really good idea. As he said, get out of stocks, get out of bonds, and even get out of property. Normally property, physical piece of property, it's an asset. But if you know it's going to get crushed, why do it? Why hang on to it? At the same time, though, here's the other side, because you got to hear this too. The other side says, I already have people living in there. They've been good. I'm happy. They're happy. I'm getting a monthly income on the houses now, and I own them. Why do I want to sell and stop all the monthly income from coming into me to wait this out, and who knows how long it's going to take to sell all the houses? I've got monthly income. And I get it. You're right. But I will say this too. When housing crashes, rents also crash with it automatically. So keep that in mind, that if housing drops in half, 50% drop, let's say, and I don't know where it could ultimately go, but let's say a 50% drop, you're going to expect a very large drop in normal rent. And if you try to be the one that stays, like the one over here in my corner, we're going to charge $1,800 a month. On what planet are you living on? $1,800 a month. No wonder why I haven't seen a single car, a single person, a single living creature stop by that house and even look it over. Because before you go looking at houses, you kind of know what you're going to be spending. Oh, well, and you need to know where we're going to go look for houses. Well, you got to go online, Zillow or Realtor.com or wherever, to find out what's for rent. Okay, let me go in that neighborhood. $1,800, we're not even stopping over there. We're going to go across the way. No, we're not even stopping there. I don't care what the house looks like. $1,800 for the house, okay? All right, so some people are going to be smoking opium and hoping prices I'll just keep renting for the same amount. And those people who are renting from you are going to say, well, I liked you. We've had a good relationship. I kept your house in good shape. I pay you rent. Everybody's happy. But the housing in this area's rental is quite a bit cheaper than what you're charging me. And I've been here quite a long time. Usually when someone's here a long time, they don't pay more than the area that they're living in, right? They pay a little bit less because they've been there with you. The raising of rents don't go up nearly as much for someone who's stable and they've been in a house for renting from me for 5-6 years, whatever. It doesn't go up just as normal as everywhere else. No, they always get a little bit of a break. So I'm gonna link this, and I urge you to listen to it. It's a 13 minute video. He forecasted the current economic problems over 12 years ago. In 2002, gold $300 an ounce. Recommended to its investors to put 50% of their investment assets into physical gold stored outside the banking system, he said. He specializes in M&A and asset allocation consultancy for private family funds, etc. It's in Zurich, Switzerland. It's kind of their about information. Started working his life in Geneva as a banker and thereafter spent 17 years as a finance director and executive vice chairman at a Fortune 100 company in the UK. Since the 1990s, he's been actively involved with financial investment activities, including mergers and acquisitions. Again, the guy's he's even been on CNBC, BBC, and of course here King World News. But he's not a club member kind of guy. He's anti-club. Again, if you go to his website, you will see he'd been in there. He was in there. I was in the banking industry. Not anymore. I don't do that anymore. Because he knows. Would a bankster tell you, get out of stocks, get out of bonds, sell property, and sit on the sidelines with cash to make a fortune when the market crashes and then you buy in all the assets at fire sale prices? One thing I would not be doing right now is going out and buying an additional property or whatever to put my money into rent to somebody else. That would not be happening, not now. Again, I would wait, let the crash happen, pick clean any little special deals that come on the market. Once the prices drop, buy them up, cash money. I've got an additional property I can rent out. Again, if you already have a system in place, you got people renting from you, it's a big deal to just put all the houses up on the market, take the cash, sit back on it. Because with that kind of cash, you could have hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly $1 million, $2 million in your possession at a bank. And I don't think I'd feel real comfortable having my money that much at a bank, because you know what the FDIC is, we only insure up to $250K, which would mean you'd have to create additional accounts. In all honesty, I'd go to different banks too and create the additional accounts, 250 in that one, 250 in that one, 250 in that one, 250 in that one, and just kind of spread the love out and sit back. And then capitalize when the crash happens. The elite do it all the time. That's how they get so powerful, so rich. They usually cause these things. They're the reasons for these things happening, and they know it. And since they know it, they'd sit back, fire sell for all these assets, which are companies, housing, real estate, all that stuff, for pennies on the dollar. You and I, we only get in at the end. Oh, there's a stampede. Let's get in on that. Then it crashes and you're left holding the bag. Boy, isn't that amazing how it always works like that. So check the video out. Listen to what he says. Nothing you haven't heard yet. And think about what you're going to do if you're in that position where you have numerous properties or thinking about getting into properties. If you're thinking about getting into it, you got some cash, you want to go get into the rental business. No. Don't even start now. You must wait for this crash in real estate to happen first. If you already have it, it's already established. I can see easily why you'd say, well, I want to keep it. I've got $1,000 a month coming in over there. I've got $1,200 a month coming in over there. I've got $800 coming in over there. I've got $1,500 coming, every month. Well, that's a nice thing because that's residual income coming in. Little different story. So take care.